Hello, this is your favorite show. I'm Makwaya Wakuhenga. Well, I'm sorry that I'm talking to you in English, but I have an English edition show when I have a non-Kiswahili speaking guest. So my guest tonight is a very special guest for us in Tanzania. He's the foreign minister of the Republic of Somaliland. Oh, most of us know only of Somalia. But there is Somaliland. If one way or another you are sitting near or you are familiar with the African map, the map of Africa, you can see Somalia, but that looks like a curve at the top of that country. That is Somaliland. That's my reading. I hope the minister will agree with me. So, in the intervening period, we have had a visitor to this country. He is the foreign minister of the Republic of Somaliland, Honorable Dr. Saad Shire.
Blessed to be here.
Welcome to the show, Minister. I hope are you coming to Tanzania for the first time?
Yes, I'm here for the first time. I always wanted to come this opportunity to visit this great country, and I'm enjoying it.
Thank you very much. Have you come specifically to visit us, or you have been attending a meeting?
Well, I have been attending a meeting. I have been one of the guests of honor for the 4th African Islamic Finance Summit in Dar es Salaam.
Oh, you were one of the guests of honor to the 4th African
Islamic Finance
Summit.
Yes.
Oh, it's been taking place here in Dar es Salaam.
Yes.
You are most welcome, Minister, to Tanzania, and hope your stay here will be enjoyable, reasonably enjoyable.
I'm already enjoying it.
Thank you very much. As you could see at the beginning of the show, I was trying to tell viewers of this show to have visualize Somalia one or another, because most of us here know of Somalia.
That's right.
But very few people know that there is a Somaliland. So can you please tell us the difference, starting with the background history of your country, how it came into being, how are you related with Somalia, your neighbors to the south, who are, as probably most of us Tanzanians know, we know of a Somalia whose capital is Mogadishu. And then we'll talk all these things along the way.
Yes.
And now, please, can you tell us a little background history of your country, Somaliland, how it came into being, and, the place where we are at the moment in time?
Yes. Well, you're absolutely right. Most of the people confuse the difference between Somaliland and Somalia. Somaliland is not Somalia.
Somaliland is not Somalia.
It's not Somalia, and it's not part of Somalia. It's a separate, independent country with its own history. Somaliland was the former British protectorate in the Horn of Africa. We share common boundaries with Djibouti in the west, and with Ethiopia in the south, and with Somalia in the east. It's that bit of the Horn of Africa on the Red Sea. The capital of Somaliland is called Hargeisa. Has been always the capital, even during the colonial era. It was the capital of Somaliland.
Yes, let me interrupt you a little bit. Please, hope you will not forget where you have left off. Dear watchers, about 10 years ago, I think I became the first Tanzanian journalist to visit Somaliland. Viewers of this show and the other Kiswahili one may have seen my show, of course in Kiswahili, when I was in Hargeisa, Somaliland. And it was very, very interesting for me to see Somaliland. And obviously when I went when I took over, when I took up the trip, I was a little nervous. Will I come back home in one piece or in several pieces, given the what we hear on the news all the time about Somalia? But when I went to Somaliland, Hargeisa, the capital, oh, the situation was very different. I mean, people of older walks, it was very, very peaceful. You walk across people, you greet people, people who are very, very friendly. You may have seen that picture when I was at a market in Hargeisa. Hey, I was pleasantly surprised. You know, at that moment in time, when I went there, their bureau de change, their bureau de changes were found in the market. So when you want to change your money into the local currency or to get the dollar, you go to the market and you get it. And it's so peaceful that when time comes, because of our brothers and sisters in Somalia, like other countries, they are very strict when it comes to time to pray. When it's time to go to pray, they leave their goods, including the dollars on the table, and they go and pray, and they come back and find their money intact and stolen. That was a pleasant surprise. So please go back to the history of the country.
Yes, yes. Well, as I said, you know, Somaliland was the former British colony.
Somaliland was the former British colony.
Yes, or protectorate, in fact, rather. And that was from 1887 to June 1960.
1887 to June 1960.
Over 70 years. We were part of the British Empire.
I see.
Just like Tanzania, you know, in the later years of your history.
Yes, yes.
And we got our independence on June 26, 1960.
Much earlier than former mainland, former Tanganyika,
yes,
which we call now mainland Tanzania. We got our independence on December 9th, 1961.
Oh, right.
Whereas you got it from the British, the same colonial power.
Yeah, June 1960.
June 1960.
Yes, about a year and a half.
About a year
before you got it.
Before we got our independence.
Yes,
that's right.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, at that time, there was a strong anti-colonial sentiment, and there was an attempt to bring together all the Somali territories. As you know, there were 5 different territories where Somalis lived.
In Africa?
In the Horn of Africa, yes.
In the Horn of Africa,
yes.
5 different colonies.
5 different areas or colonies where Somalis lived.
Yes.
Somali-speaking people lived.
Yes.
Like the French Somaliland, which that is Djibouti now.
Oh, French Somaliland,
yes,
which is present-day Djibouti.
Djibouti.
Yes.
And then you had Italian Somaliland in the south.
And Italian Somaliland,
yes,
which is present-day Somalia, Mogadishu.
Yes. And then British Somaliland, which is Somaliland.
And British Somaliland, which is your country, yes, Somaliland.
Yes.
Dear watchers, it's very instructive for me. It's giving me, you know, a flashback in history, yeah, when most of us here were colonies of the British and the French, whatever. And he's telling me about his country, Somalia. You know, the Somalia, which is very, very famous, and not very positively, whose capital is Mogadishu, was formerly a colonial power, a colony of Italy.
Yes.
The Italians were colonizing,
yes,
Somalia of Mogadishu.
Yes.
And the other one?
And then you have 2 regions, one in Ethiopia, used to be called Ogaden. And then the NFD of Kenya, the North Frontier District, where you have Somalis. And at that time, there was a movement to bring all the 5 together, and that's why we have a star with 5, you know, the 5-star flag. And when we joined, in fact, immediately our people, you know, sensed that, you know, that the union wasn't fair, and just a year later, that's 1961, there was a referendum on the union, and our people rejected it. You know, because within that year, they suddenly realized that, you know, that they were not being dealt fairly with, and that they were unhappy with the union. So right from the start, They rejected the union.
Union with that was created by colonialists.
When we got our independence
Yes.
on 26 June
In Somaliland.
1960, 5 days later, Somalia got its independence.
Down south.
Down south on 1st July.
You got independence, only difference was 1 month only.
No, just 5 days.
5 days.
Yes, just 5 days difference.
5 days difference.
Yes.
You got it in 1960.
June 26, 1960.
And Somalia
Got 1st July.
Or Mogadishu, 1st of July?
Yes.
1960.
Hey. Yes. So you have 26, 27, 28, 29.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yes.
And then the 1st. But during those 5 days, Somaliland was a separate country acknowledged by the United Nations.
At that point in time, in 1960,
Yeah.
Somaliland was a country,
Yes, it was a country.
organized by the nations with, rightly demarcated borders.
Yeah. With international boundaries,
International
It's
boundaries.
acknowledged by the members of the United Nations, and we had a prime minister, we had a cabinet, and we had a legislature. We have all the organs of a government. And then, because of that sentiment riding high at that time to bring all the Somali territories, our people decided to join, Somalia. But just right from the start, people sensed it that they were not being dealt fairly with by Somalia. So when the union law was put to referendum in the following year in 1961, our people rejected it.
You were in Somaliland.
Yes, in Somaliland.
There was a move to unite all the two Somalis.
Yes, and all the Somali territories.
Yes, after independence.
Yes.
And that referendum was organized by who?
There was an act of union.
During the colonial days?
No. After the union.
Yes.
When Somalia got its independence and we got our independence, there was an attempt to unite.
By who?
By Somalilanders and Somalis as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a Union Act. In fact, it didn't.
Passed by who?
By the Somalia. This is the way it should have happened, in fact, and this is the way what was agreed initially, that the Somaliland government will propose a Union Act, and Somalia as well, and then that will be, unified, so that we will have one act, which will be signed by both sides. That did not happen. The Union Act passed by the Somaliland Parliament was ignored. So the Somalia Parliament put its Union Act to referendum to the people. And our people rejected it because they thought that was not fair right from the start. So in fact, you can say that the initial attempt to unite two independent countries turned into occupation from that moment on, because the people rejected the referendum, in the referendum, the union. And then we had 30 years of very difficult time with Somalia.
With Somalia?
With Somalia, yes.
In the south, on the south?
In the south, because our people, Somalilanders, were marginalized. They were...
Somalilanders were marginalized.
And in fact oppressed. And as a result, in the early 80s, the people started a resistance movement called so-called Somali National Movement, or SNM. And that resistance movement, had to struggle with the existing regime, which was a very brutal one, until the fall of that regime in 1991.
That regime was by who?
By Barre's regime, Siad Barre's regime.
Yeah, I was about to ask you about Siad Barre.
Yes.
Because being someone, of course, if you've been around seeing the independence, at the immediate level, the independence of this country, I was around and I was mature. Obviously, I followed. The rise of, the regime of Siad Barre of Somalia. And then, I see. Was he a military man?
Yes, Siad Barre was a military man. He, in fact, came to power in 1969 in a coup.
He came via coup d'etat.
Via coup d'etat. He overthrew, in fact, an elected government at the time. And then his reign lasted from 1969 to 1991.
Yes, yes.
A very long time. And he was a very brutal dictator. And in fact, in the last few years of his reign, he caused a lot of damage. In fact, he carried out, we can say, a genocide in Somaliland. We lost maybe about 100,000 people in that period. And Hargeisa, the capital, was flattened totally.
By bombardment,
yes. Aerial bombardment and artillery bombardment. And we had, in fact, to reconstruct the city right from the ground in 1991 when we came back. And if you go back today, you will see how much it changed. And we did all that rebuilding on our own. And today it's a vibrant metropolis with almost 1 million people, So we have done really,
What's the population of Somaliland?
It's 4 million.
4 million?
Yeah, 4 million, yes.
What's the population of our neighbors in the south?
In the south.
Somalia, Mogadishu?
About 8 million.
8 million.
Yes.
How do you explain that, sorry, Minister, how do you explain that this name of your country is so interesting, so good, Somaliland, was not known to everybody? Everybody spoke of Somalia. And you were about, until today actually, marginalized.
Yeah.
But you were there historically, as you told me.
Yeah.
You were a former British protectorate.
Yeah.
And you were decolonized, as most of us were decolonized.
Yeah.
And then there was this attempt, maybe ill-intention, to unite early. And
all Somali territories.
Which
never happened.
Which never happened, which was rejected indirectly by the people.
Yes.
Why this? Why were your country played down so much?
Well, the reason I think why we do not get as much attention is because Somaliland is a stable, peaceful country, secure country, and good news doesn't get attention. But in the south, in Somalia, that's where you have the terrorism, the piracy, the conflict, the war, and that's what gets attention, unfortunately. And because Somaliland and Somalia sound the same, people confuse. And I think the things that are happening in Somalia are also happening in Somaliland when it's not the case.
That's right. Yeah. The distinction was not very obvious. Because at the end of the day, the word is Somalia. Now Somaliland, you see, I think that could be one of the reasons. Yes.
But Somaliland is the good child in the region, so good children don't get attention, as you know. It's the naughty children.
You are not. On the contrary, you are not that naughty. But anyway, so how have you been evolving since then? We see Siad Barre leaving Somalia, and then obviously there have been successive regimes in the south. And how have you been evolving? Now, maybe before that question, after independence, what was the structure of your government after independence? And why was it that it was played down? Because you were a former British protectorate or colony, to put it more bluntly. And you were decolonized. But it was Somalia formerly colonized by Italy in the south, which got known internationally. And it's a bit puzzling.
I think what happened in 1960 was very unfair. We were two states. Perhaps at that time, if we formed a federal state of two independent, of two states, two separate states, maybe then that would have, satisfied our people. But we were absorbed totally. And what was a country became simply, a number of regions. That's all, really. But what happened after 1991 is very interesting. After 1991 in Somaliland, the community came together
The community in Somaliland.
Somaliland,
The
yes.
old people, yeah.
Yeah, the elderly.
Somali society in Somaliland.
Yeah, in Somaliland. The elders, the intellectuals, the traditional leaders, they all came together. And the first thing they did was to reconcile. So we started with reconciliation. That's what we have done, through several community meetings. And from the reconciliation meetings emerged a government which was inclusive.
An all-inclusive government.
Yeah, an inclusive government where everybody was in and people were satisfied. And that's the foundation of our peace. It's founded, on a reconciliation within the community, and it's indigenous. It's our own. What happened in Somalia was totally different. It was the United Nations and the international community that led in trying to, put together a government for Somalia without reconciliation.
Not sourcing it from the people themselves.
That's right. That's right.
It was superimposed.
It's a superimposed.
Whereas your government was within
And
took
from
roots
bottom up.
from the people.
Yes.
And before that process of building a government, you started a process of reconciliation,
Yes.
knowing each other.
Yes.
That's very interesting.
Yes, yes. And that's the main difference. I mean, sometimes people ask, why is Somaliland peaceful and why Somalia is not so peaceful? What is the reason, The same region, same people. And I think this is one of the main differences, We reconciled and we built a government which was inclusive, and then we moved into building a democratic government whereby we elected our parliament and we elected the president and we elected the councillors,
This is as long as which year? After 1960?
Well, we had the first elections in 2002. We had a referendum on the constitution in 2001, right? And then we had the first election in 2002, and that was the municipal election. And then we have the presidential election in 2003, and then we had the parliamentary election in 2005. And since then,
this is a little bit because of maybe of the civil strife.
Yeah.
Because you had a military regime in the south,
yeah,
which almost swallowed the other part of Somaliland, Somalia,
yeah.
or rather Somaliland. I think this could have been the reason, because if you got independence from 1960,
Yeah.
June to be precise, surely you must have started the process of forming a government.
Yes.
But you started forming a government much later,
Yeah.
in 1990.
one.
Why that long?
Well, as I said, Somaliland was in a way absorbed by Somalia in 1960.
Was absorbed by Somalia
Yes,
in 1960.
yes. There was an
Okay.
attempt of union.
Uh-huh.
But the union...
Dear watchers, I did not get the minister correctly. Actually, this attempt to unite Somalia was actually superimposed,
Yeah.
and that was actually aimed at swallowing the other part of Somalia,
Yes.
Somalia, which is Somaliland.
Somaliland, that's
so
correct.
to appear as if it doesn't exist.
Yes.
I
And
see.
that's basically what happened.
It's interesting.
And because of
And
the...
sad also.
Yes, and because of the discrimination and the injustice and the unfairness which followed that, our people, started to resist, from the early 80s, and it took them almost a decade, 10 years, up to 1991, to liberate themselves from the brutal regime of Siad Barre at the time. And since then, we started to construct a peaceful, stable, secure state called Somaliland Republic, which has its own elect president, its own elect parliament, its own elect councillors, independent judicial structure. Yeah.
I see. Oh my God, it was time lost from 1960 to early 90s.
Yes.
And all this time, you seemed to be sort of swallowed by by your neighbors in the south.
Yeah.
And then, this is too bad. And then slowly, in 1991, you began constructing organs of state.
Yes.
When you had a parliament, you
Yes.
had all these kind of things.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And today, Somaliland, meets all the requirements of an independent sovereign
Who
state.
was the founder president of Somaliland?
Well, the first president was Abdurrahman Mohammed Ali.
Your first president was
And
Abdurrahman.
Abdurrahman, yes. And then we have Igal.
Eh?
Igal. Muhammad Haji Ibrahim Igal.
Legal. The name rings a bell. His name rings a bell to me because I seem to come across his name.
Igal was an African leader, in fact. He was a colleague of Nyerere, Kwame Nkrumah.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. He was in that generation.
He was in that generation.
Our early leaders.
Yes.
Kwame Nkrumah, Mwalimu Julius Nyerere.
Yes.
But his origin was Somaliland.
He's from Somaliland, of course.
Yeah. That's very, very interesting. Have there been, in the intervening period between 1960, when you had both the south and north of your country had independence, and this attempt to sort of swallow you into a union, which people rejected, had there been some fighting, some war between the two Somalias?
Yeah. Well, in fact, as I said, there was a struggle. There was a liberation movement from 1981 to 1991, and that's how we liberated ourselves. In fact, as a result of that, 10-year-long struggle with the brutal regime that reigned at that time. And now Somaliland, has come a long way. Just to give you an example of how things have changed, in 1991 there were hardly any schools
in
Somaliland. The small number of schools that were destroyed during the struggle. But today we have more than 1,000 primary schools in the country.
And by the way, you are talking about your country of 4 million.
Yes.
4 million people. Yes. Whereas your neighbors in the south are how many?
8 million.
8 million.
Yes.
Oh.
And today we have more than 1,000 primary schools, all built by us, by the assistance from international community. And we do not have even one university in 1991. In fact, we had no universities from 1960 to 1991. Now today we have nearly 30 universities in the country.
You have 30 universities?
Yes.
So what legends mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that gives you how much progress has been made in the country on our own.
You have taken education very seriously.
Yes. And we think Somaliland can contribute to the welfare and the security and the progress and the prosperity of the region as a whole. In fact, we believe that Somalia will benefit, from the independence and the progress of Somaliland itself. So we think Somaliland is good, not only for Somalilanders, but for everybody in the region.
Before we go to a break, before we break in 2 to 3 or 4 minutes, let us look at the. We from this part of the world, your neighbors, so to speak, remember Siad Barre, I1 for one, because he was a military man.
Yes.
And we, as I was telling watchers of the show, we only knew we have known only one Somalia.
Yes.
The other part had been swallowed.
Yes.
But basically, you look like the same people, isn't it?
Yes.
Both from the south and north.
Yes.
My impression when I visited your country was you had sort of your fraternity as a people.
Yes.
Although I can't speak more knowledgeably on that, because basically all Somalis give me the impression of very, very friendly people, at least friendly to each other.
Yes.
But you seem to have succeeded in evolving national unity, national cohesiveness, peaceful coexistence.
Yes.
In Somaliland, as I was just jokingly telling you, when I left for your country about 10 years ago, I was very nervous, thinking that maybe I'll be. I nearly told you in Kiswahili. I nearly spoke in Swahili. That nitakuwa tashughulikiwa na Al-Shabaab. That I would be dealt with by Al-Shabaab, that terrorist sort of group, which is has made a has tarnished the name of
Yes,
your people,
Somalia.
given their nature, given their friendly looking,
peaceful, loving people.
Yes. Who is the leader in your country who has evolved, or who seem to have evolved national unity? Because even without your country being known so much globally, but nobody hears anything terrible in Somaliland. Like people, getting at each other's throats, or somebody going to throw a bomb at a hotel. Not in Somaliland. Can you give me the reasons before we break? Because we'll make a little
Yes. Well, first, with regard to the leaders, as I said, we had 4 successive presidents: Abdurrahman Ali, and then we have Mohammed Haji Ibrahim Igal, and then we had Riale.
Mohammed Ali was the founder president.
The founder president, and then Mohammed Haji Ibrahim Igal.
Igal, the famous one.
Yeah, the famous one, and then Riale, whom you have met in Somaliland.
The president, when I was last there.
Yes. Last there. And then now we have Ahmed Mohamed Mohamed Silani, the current president. But I think the reason why Somaliland has managed, peace and security in Somaliland itself is because, as I said, how we started. And we started with reconciliation, and making peace from within. And that, that in fact, whole movement and attempt was led by the people themselves, not by the international community at all. And then after that, because the government is the government of the people, by the people themselves, together with the government, ensure security of the state. So you have a partnership between the people and the government, to make sure that the country is secure and there are no, terrorist activities within the country. If, let us say, someone from the public sees something suspicious, most likely they will report to the police. They will say, there is something or someone, who is behaving suspiciously, and we would like to bring that to your attention. And that's how that's how it works.
Terrorism, Minister, is a complex phenomenon. We will take a little break.
Thank you.
Mimi Albert Kilala naahidi kusema kweli daima.
Mimi napenda kusema ukweli, na kusema ukweli ni mpenzi wa Mungu.
Tutasema kweli katika siasa, uchumi, elimu, jamii na michezo. Kila Jumatatu, Jumatano na Ijumaa saa 4 kamili usiku hapa Channel 10.
Before we took a break, you were telling me something very interesting, and I commented on the phenomenon of terrorism. This is a subject that may need a separate show.
Yes.
Because the minister, as you realize, those who belong to the Islamic faith are very much embarrassed. Because for one to be a Muslim, especially bearing a Muslim name, this business of terrorism really embarrasses him.
Absolutely.
By name, Islam is not about terror.
No.
It's not about, harming someone.
Right.
Even those who have read the history of Islam, the leader of this religion, being stoned those days by non-believers of his faith, there is a religious saying that angels surrounded the Prophet, asking him if he may need their help to at least counterattack to those. But the Prophet said no. Behind their backs will come good Muslims. So that philosophy, in my view, underpins the philosophy of Islam as a peaceful religion.
Yeah.
Now, Very briefly, although no, can't be very briefly,
Yeah.
because you are at the end of the day you are a Somali, although you are from Somaliland.
Yes.
Those people down south are your brothers.
Yes.
To what level does this phenomenon of terrorism embarrass you? I'm sure you're embarrassed.
Yes, yes. We were all embarrassed. Islam is a peaceful religion. It's one of the few religions where when you meet someone, you don't say good morning or good afternoon or good evening. You say peace upon you.
May the peace of God be upon you.
Assalamu alaikum. That's peaceful. And as you know, there are 1.6 to 1.7 billion Muslims.
All over the world.
All over the world. Now, how many of them are terrorists?
Pardon?
How many of them are terrorists out of 1.7 billion? Very few. But unfortunately, these few are giving a bad name to the religion and to the people, who subscribe to the religion, unfortunately. And I think we need to highlight that. People don't understand, because if you have a Muslim name, people assume that you must be guilty. You become guilty by association to the religion, which is not really right, I think that's not the right way. I think, terrorism is very harmful, not to the non-Muslims, but to the Muslims themselves. In fact, most of the victims are Muslims themselves, of the terrorist acts. And people forget that Islam is not a new religion. Islam is a very old religion. Terrorism is a new phenomenon, It has nothing to do
Despicable.
Yeah, absolutely. It has nothing to do with Islam.
Now, thank you very much, Minister. Most of the watchers who are watching, some of them may be Muslim, some of them may not be Muslim. But this phenomenon, I had to mention it, because one way or another, because, your brothers down south, Somalia, whose capital is Mogadishu, are the ones who are having this group called Al-Shabaab. And it's the one which, globally has really tarnished the good name of Somali people generally. Because at the end of the day, you're all Somalis, whether from Somalia, down south, or from Somaliland. And people who visit your country, I was one of those who were fortunate to visit your country, discovered in you Somali people as very friendly people. Yes, you get along easily with the other people.
Yeah.
You don't give the impression of people who can get to that level.
Yes.
Yes. What do you think, speaking generally, because here in this country, for example, Minister, we had a founder president who brought us, my dear brother and friend, we are 100+ tribes here.
Yes.
And the founder president of our country, first clarion call was freedom and unity.
Yes.
Uhuru na umoja.
Yes.
Bringing us together
Yes.
from different tribes.
Yes.
So that really Tanzanians today don't care
Yeah.
whom they are talking to, is which tribe is he from.
Yeah.
They know he's a fellow Tanzanian.
Yeah.
And intertribal marriages
Yeah.
are common.
Yeah.
When he begins to ask whether his wife, which tribe his wife is,
yeah.
after he has married her.
Yeah. Yes.
Do you think Somalia lacked this background? Meaning your neighbors in the south?
I think so. I think the difference is,
Molding national unity.
you see, all the communities
Yes.
in Tanzania, find justice in the system. Everybody is treated equally, I assume. So people find, that they belong. There's a feeling of belonging within Tanzania, of everybody, right? That belonging to Tanzania, that's the sense, and the reality as well. But in Somaliland and Somalia, when we were united, that sense of belonging wasn't there. The people in Somaliland felt that they did not find justice within the union. And, language and looks don't define states, right? At the present time, states in Africa are defined by the colonial boundaries. And Somaliland is the only country with defined colonial boundaries, which at the present time is still, seeking to be recognized by the international community. So I think even though we speak the same language and we look like each other, like Somalis, and of course there are other communities which look like each other in East Africa at the end of the day, you know, but that wasn't sufficient because Somaliland people were not comfortable with the union. They didn't think that they were treated fairly and well, and they haven't been dealt with in a just manner, but they were rather treated as foreigners, you know, oppressed, and had suffered quite a lot within the union. And I think that's what led, you know, to the separation between Somaliland and Somalia. And we are happy as a separate country, and I think, you know, Somalia itself will benefit from our stability and security and prosperity.
No leader is allowed to stay for good in Somaliland. You have a democratic structure,
yes,
and people exercise their democratic rights.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is contributive to your current peace,
yes,
that you are enjoying.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Now, you have a country, such a beautiful name, Somaliland. Have you been recognized? Because you were recognized, follow my words, at the very beginning.
Yes.
The United Nations, when the British were in your country, you were British protected with the name Somaliland.
Yes, yes.
And now nobody who is remembering this. Nobody seems to want to remember history.
Yeah.
That there was a Somaliland. Now you are a country.
Yes.
What have been your efforts to get recognized? First with us within Africa, under the African Union. Of course, before, as you know only too well, we are the Organization of African Unity.
Yes.
Now it's the African Union. What have been your attempts to get recognized as a state, a sovereign state?
Yes.
Because I know, for example, as I was in your country, you have a full structure of a state.
Yes, we do.
Even these pamphlets you gave me the other day, there is a pamphlet here which I'm holding in my hands here, which propounds the foreign policy of the Republic of Somaliland. Yeah, I have got it. And here is a pamphlet propounding the culture of Somaliland.
Yes.
So,
we have built a state which meets all the requirements of a sovereign state. We have defined boundaries, defined by the colonialists in the 19th century. We have a government which has authority over the country. We have a permanent population, and we have the ability to enter into agreements with other governments, which we have done on many occasions, and with international companies as well. We have our own currency, our own army, our own police. We collect taxes. We pay our doctors and nurses and teachers from our own taxes. So we have everything that a sovereign state should have. That's what we have done. And the international community respects that and treats us as a de facto state. All that we are seeking at the present time, in fact, is to gain what we think is our right, which is a sovereign recognition of the people of Somaliland, so that we can take, our own right place in the United Nations and in the AU and IGAD. We think it's not fair that we are excluded from decisions that affect us. We think we should be around the table where decisions that affect us are made, and we think that we will be contributing to the well-being and to the progress and the security of the region and the global community as a whole. Once we are recognized, but we are hopeful.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's sad, Minister. It's very, very sad that until now, from 1991 onwards, you are yet to achieve membership of the United Nations or membership of the African Union. But so far, so good, really, because you were here in Dar es Salaam attending an international conference, and as you go to various places, really, what could be your appeal to the Tanzanian government? Because, frankly speaking, this is, in my mind, much as Africa is seeking African unity, but there must be a beginning point. Here is a state with full structures of a state, and it is existing with other, first of all, there is a very good internal coexistence between Somaliland and your neighbors in the south, and you're behaving very well as a state already. What could be your appeal to us here?
Yes. Well, first, may I point out that there has been a historical link between Somaliland and Tanzania. We have an old community which hails from Somaliland here in Tanzania. You know that very well.
Yes.
So we have that human link between Somaliland and Tanzania. And at the end of the day, there was a time when we were all under the British rule, and we even shared the East African shilling.
By the way, if I may amuse you a little bit, Tanzania is a rainbow country. We have everybody here. We have Tanzanians of Somali origin.
Yes.
And they are here mingling with our people. And very normally in many parts of the country. I think we have had a couple of them in parliament. People know that he's a Somali, but they don't really sing and dance about it. They know at the end of the day that he's a Tanzanian.
Tanzania, that's right. That's right. Well, we have been appealing.
Somebody once told me when I was in Hargeisa that so-and-so originated from here. He was pointing me at the house. And this is where he comes from. I didn't, that is no reason, because he's a Tanzanian. But this shows the nature of our country, that we're a rainbow nation.
Absolutely.
We have everybody here.
Absolutely.
Like as you probably have known by now, in South Africa, we had Ahmed Kathrada. He died, unfortunately. You may have heard about it. He was an ally or a comrade of Mandela. Ahmed Kathrada was a South African of Asian origin. Yet he contributed very well for the independence struggle, or for the struggle against apartheid and in South Africa. So that this is a human blend that we have in Tanzania. Yes.
Well, as long as people feel comfortable and they feel that they belong, and they can, they feel that they are dealt with justice and fairness, I think that can be the glue that brings together, all the people from the different background in a community, and that's what you do here in Tanzania. What I would like to ask of course, the Tanzanian government and the Tanzanian people, of course, and what we want is to strengthen that historical link and find opportunities of collaboration in many areas, in economics, in social development, in security, and these are all areas in which we can cooperate. But at the same time, we would like to appeal, to the government and to the people, as we do to the rest of Africa, to acknowledge the right of Somaliland to be an independent state, as it was, before the union with Somalia.
Absolutely.
Yes. And what we have here really is not a state which is seceding from another state, but rather a union which is being
going back into history.
Yes, going back to history. That's all we're really asking for.
Yes.
And I think that's the right which we have.
It's like, if one wants to be fair, it's like when one looks at the British society, for example. I studied at Wales. I did my master's degree at the University of Wales in the UK. So in the UK you have Scotland, you have Wales,
and Ireland,
England. So although they are not separate states as such, but they are recognized within their own system. And for reasons of fairness, I think Somaliland deserves that kind of recognition as a sovereign, independent state. When you come to a conference like this, the one we have just attended, do you try to mobilize?
Yes. Well, we try to educate people about Somaliland whenever we get the opportunity. Because as you said, not many people know about Somaliland as a separate country. People confuse and don't know the difference between Somalia and Somalia. So we try our best to ensure that we explain the difference between the two among the participants of the conferences that we attend, among the government. We always, take every opportunity we have with the media, to express our views on our position. So that's what we have been doing.
Since we are coming almost to we have about 4 minutes or so to come to the end of the show, Minister, Maybe people would like to know the characteristic of your country in terms of its economy. Whether you're agriculture oriented, what kind of business your people do, or whether you have minerals there or what. Because at the end of the day, people do interstate trade relationships and kind of thing.
Yes. Well, according to the analysis or the breakdown of our GDP or the total output of the country, service is the number one sector, and then we have
you have a service sector.
The service sector, and then we have the livestock.
Livestock
sector. Yes. It's an agrarian pastoral economy, basically.
Somebody was jokingly telling me that if you want to marry a Somali girl, look for camels.
Yes. We have the tradition of offering a dowry of 10 camels, sometimes like 100 camels.
In most of our people here, coming from other parts of Tanzania, the father of the girl demands cows.
Yes. But that's the tradition of pastoral society.
Yes, exactly.
All over the world.
Exactly.
Yes.
So you are a service sector economy, and what?
Livestock,
yes.
Agriculture, real estate properties, and construction.
Agriculture, what's your focus in agriculture?
Well, at the present time, we're mainly growing sorghum and maize, and vegetables and fruits. Mm-hmm. That's what we do. Mm-hmm. All right, and but we do import most of our basic necessities. Like rice and flour and things of that sort. But we have a huge opportunity and scope, in fact, to expand our agricultural base, and that's why we would like to, in fact, allure and invite Tanzanian investors to come to Somaliland and to invest in agriculture. I'm quite sure you have some commercial farms here, and I think we have opportunity for business people who want to invest in agriculture.
Minister, you mentioned something very interesting, which is very good. Tanzanians who are watching this show, there are opportunities in Somaliland. Those who are interested in this kind of, just look for the possibility of reaching there. I'm sure there are many ways that one can use to reach Somaliland. But what's the major currency that you use?
Well, we have our own currency, which is the Somaliland shilling.
You have the Somaliland shilling?
Yeah, Somaliland shilling. We print our own money.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, you print your own money.
Yes.
Somaliland shilling.
Yes. But we have also some sort of a dual currency economy. The dollar is also an acceptable currency in Somaliland.
You can transact with the dollar.
Yeah, you can transact with the dollar as well. Which gives you flexibility if you are an investor. Because you can take away your profits, you can take away your capital. There is no restriction and limitation as to what you can own, what you can do, and what you can transfer.
Yeah, really?
Yes.
That's good news.
Yes.
That's good news.
It's an open country.
Yeah. Now, having asked you about your diplomatic foray, asking people to recognize your state, so far so good, you are saying?
Well, I think so. Last year I have been to 13 different countries.
Been to 13 different countries?
Yes. And met many ministries, foreign ministries, other ministries, even prime ministers. And I think everybody I told the story of Somaliland was understanding and sympathetic. And normally they would say, well, if that's all true, if that's the case, then how come you are not being recognized? And I think, Somaliland has a good legal case, a good historical case, and a good humanitarian case to be recognized. But sometimes its politics in the way, which are really in a way preventing us from getting what's due to us, which is full recognition by the international community. But as I said, we're very optimistic and hopeful.
Some of us sincerely wish you very, very well, and really you deserve the right to membership, recognized in this global entity such as the UN, the African state, because until and unless wonder. But if one travels, it's when one sees the world.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I have been to your country, and sincerely speaking, I think you deserve it, and you deserve this kind of recognition. And maybe at the end of the day, maybe in conclusion, once you have this kind of recognition, as you probably know that or appreciate the meaning of unity. For example, mainland Tanzania, you know what was the name in the past before we united with Zanzibar. We are United Republic of Tanzania, but Zanzibar has a separate government. But we are in a union, sort of a United Republic. Yes. Would you, in the event you win recognition, do you think of in the future making both Somalis into one country or a United Republic, something like that?
Well, our vision for the time being is to have, an East Africa which is economically integrated. So there's a free movement of people, free movement of capital, just like doing.
You consider yourselves East Africans primarily?
Well,
for which I'm very, very happy.
We're in East Africa.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
You have North Africa, and West Africa, South Africa, East Africa. So Somaliland is part of East Africa.
Yes.
So we would like to see East Africa, which is economically integrated and prosperous and peaceful, of independent states in which Somaliland is one.
Yes.
That's our vision.
Minister, I'm very, very happy. Time is not our ally, but I frankly have enjoyed this talk, and I think those who have been watching this show have come to know Somaliland. The theme of the show has been getting to know Somaliland. I hope they have come to appreciate that there is a country in the East African region called Somaliland. Minister, I take occasion to thank you most sincerely. First of all, please feel very welcome to Tanzania, and the more you come, the more we'll be happy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
I'm enjoying.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.